think it's important to manage your work-life balance, and I do this by setting set goals for the day, having set hours to do my work, and once I've done my work that I've set for that day, then I can enjoy the evening off or enjoy the weekend. Is to make sure that you consistently do all of the work that you've got to do, but also set aside time to do things that are a bit more fun.
Excellent.
My work-life balance, anytime I leave school as a principal, once I leave the four corners of this university, I'm done with anything to do with work. I try to enjoy myself. Weekends, I take out time, to hang out with friends, watch movies, go to the pub, go to the club when there's time, so that's the way I try to balance it.
Okay, with my work-life balance, obviously I'm a mum, so I've got a 19-year-old who's at college at the moment, husband, 2 dogs, and I give myself some time. So it's difficult not to feel guilty, to be honest, when you do give yourself and allocate yourself a little bit of time. So I canoe. I basically go up and down the riverways and the canals. We built a canoe the other year, my husband and me. So that was almost another way of learning a skill. So I can't leave it alone, can I? So we were off on that tangent. And yeah, if it's a really nice day, get up really early in the morning and go out. And do you know what? When you give yourself that little bit of respite and that little bit of exercise that takes you away from that pressure point that you're at all the time, things actually happen. You start to sort of think of things. And again, you're at the PhD again, aren't you? But they come to you readily because you're taking the time out. And a question you haven't been able to answer or something that's been frustrating you might just pop into your head as you're sort of paddling along.
So my work-life balance and the management of it, it is fairly difficult to manage, I think. Actually, I say fairly difficult. It's definitely manageable. And I manage it. I tell myself, so I will plan my day ahead every single day, or my week ahead. So on a Sunday or a Monday morning, I'll sit down and I'll think, what do I need to do this week? What are my goals? What are my achievements? What do I need to do by the end of this week? I'll write a to-do list of some sort, and the to-do list will have any task, any activities from there, from something very, very small, such as reply to all emails, to the bigger tasks, such as write a chapter, which are a little bit more scary. But what it allows me to do, it allows me to physically see how far down that list I am and how far I've come. And therefore I know that, for example, by the end of Tuesday evening, I know that out of the 15 tasks that I set myself to do, I have completed 7, and therefore I know that I can have a bit more of a life balance that day. I always try and, so often I'll come into the office or come to work, and I'll tell myself that I won't work past, for example, 7 p.m. so that I can go home and I can have a bit of a life. On the weekends, I try not to work at all, if possible, so that I feel like I've had a bit of a break. And I think that's really important, having those weekends, or at least a day in the week, a Saturday or a Sunday.
Managing work-study life balance is probably one of the hardest things about doing a PhD. It's hard because sometimes your family and friends don't understand why you need to prioritise your study, and sometimes your academic peers might not understand why you need to prioritise your personal life. And so you can find yourself having to justify that quite a lot and explain to people that I can't attend that thing on a Saturday because actually I need to make up some lost time, or I'm sorry, I can't be at university today because I've got something personal that I need to do. But I think it's really important to have a balance between work and study and recreational and free personal time, because my opinion is that I give my best when I've done a little bit of everything. So I know that if I've had a couple of days off, I'm going to come back to my studying feeling refreshed, feeling excited because I haven't looked at it for a while. But equally, if I'm going all the time, then there's going to come a point when the motivation and the energy is going to dip. So I try to balance things. I try to look at what I'm doing each day. So when I'm planning my day, I think about what do I need to achieve in my research, what jobs, what laundry needs doing around the house, do I need to do some food shopping, but also what am I going to do for myself? So am I going to go to the gym? Am I going to take some time to do some meditation or some yoga? Am I going to meet a friend for coffee? And building that in every day and it being okay and that being part of your routine, I think helps you have a balance. And then looking across the week and thinking, I'm going to have 3 to 5 really solid days work, and then I'm going to have a weekend. And it's okay to have a weekend because other people do that who are working in full-time jobs. So I think as long as you feel that you've got the right balance, then making sure that you're doing something for each is really, really important.
Again, it all comes down for me to being able to organise it and being able to prioritise my tasks in order so that I know which ones are the most important, but also appreciating that some weeks will be better than others. Some weeks I'll be able to complete the bigger tasks and other weeks I will not, and that's absolutely fine. And just because I haven't completed the big tasks Monday to Friday doesn't mean I don't deserve to have a break over the weekend. So for me, it comes down to, yes, I have done something this week, regardless of whether that is just replying to emails or whether that is actually writing or collecting data, but I have done something and therefore I can have that work-life balance. So for me, it stems from acknowledging that I've done enough and therefore I deserve that break and have something outside of work, treat myself to a day with a friend or something.
It's really important to plan everything to ensure that you get some work-life balance. I've been fortunate at having a desk at uni and the ability to do as many hours as I want really during the week, like to stay for as long as needed to get work done, does mean that I can go home and I can leave the PhD at my desk, which I definitely think helped early on. Obviously, when you come to writing up, you're eating, sleeping, breathing, PhD. I do think it's really important to set aside time early on where you're not going to do your PhD and you've got that guilt-free headspace where you can leave it behind you, not worry about it, recharge your batteries, do something completely different, do something fun, and then come back feeling 100% again, ready to crack on with your PhD.
I will keep work just to Monday to Friday. Weekend is my weekend. I am not going to touch anything academic. And yes, I make this really clear to myself that I need the break and I need to rest.
So at the moment, I had a terrible work-life balance in the undergrad and the masters. I would just work all the time. The semesters were split into 12 weeks and I would just work for those 12 weeks. I wouldn't go anywhere, I wouldn't meet anyone, I wouldn't socialise. I would just say, right, I'm sorry, I'll see you all in 12 weeks. And I realised that probably wasn't the best thing to do. And I think the work-life balance is important. And so I tried to keep perspective on that and not let it interfere as I have done in the past.
Right, again, that just comes up with time management. You can try to plan a semester, but it's really more about planning week by week. Even comes down to planning your day by day. But I try to plan at least week by week to know my work schedule, any life events that I need to be dealing with, and where I can fit my PhD in, and of course, prioritising.